What's up, everybody? So in this video, I want to try my best to explain promises and how to use them on Roblox. Promises were first used in other languages. I'm not very familiar with other languages other than JavaScript because I primarily use JavaScript. But promises are a way to make asynchronous slash synchronous programming better, as well as making callbacks uncluttered, and just the ability to control how you want your code. It makes your code look better. And there are actually examples on her website on why use promises, and you can read this. But built-in thread so you can use synchronous slash synchronous properly. Quarantine mod, blah blah blah. She explains a lot in this, and there is a lot you can do. For example, composing promises, and it's chaining them together. You can cancel them and everything. I'll try to go over this, but by no means is this video supposed to be for advanced programmers. It can be if you never have used promises before, but this video is more primarily directed to people that are never seen a promise before, never heard of them, and just want to start using them in their code. And that's pretty much it. Also, if you look at her main page, same thing: versatile, composable, predictable, rich API, cancellation. She gives tons and tons of examples, but I want to make this video to try to help people that don't know how to use promises to get them to use promises. I'll tell you how to get the library and the module script at the end of the video, but I just want to jump in. First thing that I want to talk about is the synchronous slash asynchronous programming. And I think this is probably one of the best reasons why you should use promises. They provide ways to make asynchronous code in Roblox Lua, which is kind of difficult to get proper asynchronous or synchronous depending on when you want to use it. It's hard to get it the way you want it to. For example, if you used HTTP requests before, oh, by the way, this video is not intended for really beginners or really advanced. It's more intended for people that at least know their way around and know what asynchronous versus synchronous is, or what callbacks are, and etc. But let me just straight away show you how to create a promise. Okay, it's the same way you create any object on Roblox. Okay, type in, I'm gonna call it p equals promise.new. Okay, that's the way that you create a promise. And in here, it will take a function. Okay, I'm going to call the function outside just to make this more understandable and readable, and we'll call it the handler. There we go. This handler can take up to 3 parameters. Okay, it can do resolve, reject, and on cancel. Okay, those are the 3 parameters this takes. Now, each parameter in of itself is kind of it is a function. So for example, you would call resolve like that, you would call reject like that, and you would do on cancel like that. And each one you can give as many amount of arguments you want to give it. So I can give hello, whoa, xd, or whatever. You know, you can do it whatever for each one of them. Okay, you can pass in as many as you want. And think of these as kind of like return statements in a function. Think of it like a return or a callback. Okay, so how we use these is we also have to put in the handler here. Okay, and the moment that this promise is created, it's going to call this handler function. Okay, so if I were to do print hello and run it, you're going to see hello. Yep, hello came out there. Let's make that bigger. You saw hello come out like that. Now, we can make this print hello in a more asynchronous way, what do I mean? So if I just did print 1, print 2, now, if you never seen promises before and you just saw promise.new, you would probably think that this is synchronous, and you'd probably think that it would do 1, hello, and then 2. Even if we put a wait in here, one would assume that it would do 1, wait 2 seconds, do hello, and then print 2. But that's not the case. If we do run, it does 1, 2, and then hello. Because whenever you create a promise, the handler kind of is asynchronous. So whatever you put in here is going to be asynchronous. It's not going to be in the same thread as, like, for example, these. But we can make it asynchronous by calling the method await at the very end. And you can call this on any promise, and it will turn your asynchronous code into synchronous. So now it's going to do 1, hello, 2. Or it did not do 2. For some reason, it did not do 2 there. Where is it? Create. Oh, that's because we need to call resolve. I'll explain what this means in a minute. But if you see now, it's 1, hello, and then 2. Proper, right? So basically, this await here waits until resolve gets called. But let's get rid of that for now. And let's only talk about this resolve function real quick. Okay? This resolve function is basically like a callback in a sense, or you can think of it as a return statement. And think of the stuff that you give it as a parameter, as arguments, is the stuff being returned in a way, in a sense. So, for example, if I type in hello world, right? P, if I were to print P, right, it's not going to be hello world, okay? It's still a promise object, okay? If we want to get the actual value of this hello world, we need to call and then, okay? We call P with a colon, not a dot, and we type in and then, specifically like that. Now, what's in here has to be a function. What you put in this as an argument needs to be a function. So I can type in function arg1 and we can type in print arg1, right? So what this will do is this will call this function whenever resolve gets called. So I can do wait 2 seconds here, and resolve will get called. So it will do print 1, then print 2, and then after 2 seconds have passed, it's going to print hello world. And I'll show you that right now. 1, 2, 2 seconds have passed, hello world. Perfect. So we could dumb this down a little bit. Since we know that the whatever functions inside of this and then, it's going to get called with the arguments that you pass in here. So we can just get rid of this and type in print. Because we know print, if we just hover over this real quick, right, receives any number of arguments and prints their values to the std out, right? We know print takes an argument, and we know this and then is going to give whatever function is inside of this the arguments that we used with resolve, okay? So it will be the same way as we did before. See, 1, 2, and then hello world. Easy, right? One thing to note is we also can call await on this, right? So this is going to become synchronous code. 1, hello world, and then 2, right? Another thing is we'll get rid of this, is we can chain these together. What do I mean by chain? I mean is that we can call and then again on this, and then this will only get called whenever this, whatever's in functions in this, whether it returns a value or it returns another promise, it's going to give it as an argument in the next one. And just for the sake of making things look better, I'm going to make these their own separate lines like that. So we have, I'm actually going to put that on that one. So, and then we have the print, but we're going to remove that print and we're going to create a function. And in our case, we're going to say we have arg1, and that's the hello world. So just say we wanted to do something to this, right? Just say we did return arg1 dot, I don't know. Actually, let's do arg1 hi, right? This will add this will add hi at the very end of hello world and return it. So then if we type in print here, now it should do hello world hi. Let's try that. 1, 2, hello world hi. Okay. So with chaining functions together like that. And we also could return another promise and then use resolve. And then this and then will only get called when you resolve it. So you can chain a lot of these together like that. And so another thing I want to talk about is now the reject. Reject, when you call that, it's a special thing that when you call that, it will not call and then. Basically, always at the basically your promise structure should always look like this. P and then always at the catch. Have a catch at the end. And now you can have as many and thens in the middle of this as you want, but usually always at the very end, you want to have this catch. Now this catch is also the same thing as the and then. It's a function, right? And it gets called when reject gets called. Okay, so most of the times you're going to call reject whenever you don't want this whole entire process to happen and you just want it to use your error or something. But what's also cool about this catch is promises have built-in error detection. So as long as you have this catch here, and if I type error there, even if I don't call reject, if there's an error that occurs in this function, for example, if we call the HTTP JSON decode function on something that's not an actual JSON, you know, it won't break my code. It's just going to call this function error, right? And you can perform whatever you want on, perform whatever you want to do when this error happens. Well, that's really cool. You also can cancel the promise with onCancel, but that I'm not going to get into. That you can look up yourself with API docs, but the main ones are resolve and reject, and you can simply chain these together like that. And all the way at the very end of this, you can still do await, right? You can still call, actually, it probably needs to be like that. Yep. So catch would always be the very end, but the cool thing is you're going to wait until all of these have gone through the process of being called and called resolve before print2 would occur. Now, if we were to look at the examples that she provides pretty good examples, but for example, we just showed chaining, right? Where we have a bunch of and thens. And look at this one. She has an in-group, is-in-group wrapper, right? We know is-in-group, I think is-in-group. I'm not familiar with the function if it yields or not, but I think it yields. But when we get the value, that's when we resolve it. So it doesn't matter when we get the actual data, right? It's going to resolve, and then we can call that function, you know, and then whenever we want it. And so same with this. Now this one's a bit cooler, where returns promised on new, resolve, reject, and on cancel. It creates the tween, and then it says if on cancel, cancel it. Basically means whenever this function gets called, it's going to cancel it. And we can see that we have tween.completed and connect that event to the resolve function. So whenever this tween gets completed, it's going to call the and then. Same thing with cancelable animation sequence, and you can see all of these is done call, which is a special one. But you can do so much with this, and that's pretty much the extent of this video that I really want to get into. Creating a promise, and you can see there's events, and if you can learn in rejection error, you must observe the result of a promise either with a catch or finally, otherwise an unhandled promise rejection warning will be printed to the console. A better alternative to spawn, wait, and delay, just because those spawn, wait, and delay are not very reliable, and with promises they become more reliable. Cancellation, yada yada yada. And you can literally see all the functions that this has and look into it more. And if you want to get this library, I don't think I showed you how to get the library or the module script. All you got to do is go to their website, press GitHub, press lib for library, press init for initialize Lua, and press raw. And then this gives you all the code. You can copy it and then go to whatever you want, and I have it in promise, and then I just paste it in, and boom, you have a promise module script. Anyways, that's all. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.